We're from the New Frontier School Board. Carmine is our teacher in our electric vehicle mechanics course. He's our number one guy and our expert in the field of electrical vehicles. And we thought it would be fun to do a little kind of quick interview about electric vehicles and the myths that are out there. There's a lot of opinions on this, Carmine. So we thought, let's talk about facts, fiction. And as we all know, the cars of the future are going to all be electric if it keeps going in this direction, correct?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the government themselves, they said it by 2035. I mean, whether we like it or not, that's the way it's going. And for a lot of skeptics out there that say, "Oh, the EV industry is powered by greed, lies, and deception," well, some people can watch a YouTube video and right away get convinced. But I mean, when you really do your homework, you start to find some scientific evidence about this stuff.
So let's go right into it. Electric cars can't go very far. Carmen, you ever hear that? They don't have enough juice. If I buy one, I'll be stuck here. I'll never make it home. Let's talk about that first. Where
Yes.
are we at with electrical vehicles and how much energy and power that they have to get people from one place to another and then maybe back?
It all depends on a case by case basis. So if you're someone that doesn't drive very far, you can get a plug-in hybrid and you get 49 kilometers on electric mode only. You can go to work and plug it in. You get the habit. I would say that when you're not using it, you plug it. It becomes a standard. It becomes a habit. I mean, if you really want something that goes further, you get yourself a 500 kilometer plus electric vehicle range, or you get a plug-in hybrid. No more electricity. You got your fuel, but very, very little fuel is
And
consumed.
that's what some people don't know. There are different types of electric vehicles that have
Exactly.
different ranges. And as we keep moving forward, those ranges, as a non-expert, I imagine will get longer and longer distances for
Oh yeah,
users.
yeah. Just 5 years ago, I mean, it was half the range. Now we doubled up, and look at the technology that's coming. It's only going to get better. They're talking about stuff like solid state batteries, where you charge up in 15 minutes and you get 1,000 kilometer range. It's only a matter of time. This scientists around the world are working hard at this. There's companies that are investing millions, if not billions, in this. The oil companies themselves are investing in this, and range anxiety was an issue back then, but now less and less. I would say because again, it depends on a case by case basis. Someone that thinks they'll be traveling like once or twice a month, or knows that they travel further once twice a month, go for a plug-in hybrid. It's still considered half electric, if you will, because it does have a high voltage battery, it does have the controller, it does have the electric motor, it does have an electric range mode only for a certain amount of mileage, and that could work for a lot of people, or someone that drives in the city only. It's a great car. The problem with this range anxiety is people that for example, a taxi driver. What is he going to do? He's going to stop for an hour and charge. I get that. So I wouldn't buy a full electric if I was a taxi in this moment right now. I'll buy a plug-in hybrid and still save enormous amounts of money. But someone that calculates their range and then says, okay, once a month I will go to I don't know, Quebec City or Mont Tremblant. I'll full I'll fully charge, basically before. But someone that is not sure, then don't take a chance. Go with a plug-in hybrid with an amazing range and electric mode only.
So
So
let's talk about, so we had range anxiety as one. There's
mhm.
another anxiety, which is for a lot of people, cost anxiety, or
Yeah,
how much things cost. Here's another myth or another statement that we hear. Electric vehicles, they are way too expensive. One, to buy them, I'm remortgaging my house, like cost so much, but then to fix them, that is a whole other price point that I just don't even want to get involved with it. Can you talk to us about that type of situation?
yeah. So if someone would just search on the internet and see how much does it cost for a regular gasoline vehicle, brand new, some cars can go 40, 50, 60,000. You can get yourself a plug-in hybrid for 36,000. Like a Toyota Prius. I mean, you can go full electric. There's the Chevrolet has the Bolt. They're they're almost within the same price range. I get that the average, is about like $10,000 more than the regular car, but don't forget your savings. So the amount of gas that you're putting, will that money will pretty much make your payments,
It's
and then
significant right now with
yeah,
the prices of gas and the way they seem to be staying, right? So
yeah, it's a matter of putting it down on paper and then figuring it out. Like I calculated if I'm putting this much gas per month, that's comes out to the same amount of money if I'm making those payments.
last component is what you're referring to now. It's the environmental benefits of moving towards this. There's reasons why we're doing it, and there's a lot of different, as you mentioned, factors environmentally, whether it's the batteries or the emissions that come into play about the benefits that some people don't want to believe, and some the scientific data is you can't can't go against it, right? And there's
Yeah,
different
no,
reasons for all of them.
yeah, for sure. I mean, just okay, just basic common sense. I'm walking down the street, or I'm bringing my kids to school, and the truck passes by, and this smoke comes in our faces, and we're breathing all of that. That doesn't happen with electric cars. So,
Mm.
like it or not, it's not there. You don't smell it. I smell it every day. There's exhaust everywhere. Okay, well, that you don't have that. So there's no tailpipes on these electric vehicles. So people say that yeah, it's a myth that it's not polluting. You gotta just that there tells you a lot. For example, California, their 0.1% of their energy comes from coal. 0.1%. So the wind blows every day, the sun shines every day, you get energy from that and it's free. So if we go forward with this, it's only going to get more and more towards renewable energy. So I mean that transition is there towards electric cars, but also the industry. We got to look at how we're getting our power, and not everybody, like I said, is burning coal. So we
And
can't say that that's fixed for everybody.
And I think you mentioned something, the industry. We're an educational institution. We're a trade school. We're doing a video about electrical vehicles, and the industry is telling us what's happening. Also, we need to train people to be able to fix and repair these type of cars because that is the future that's happening. So it's going to change over time when science and new technologies come into play and more people, as you mentioned it, follow the money. When there's money to be made and people need means of transportation, if they're all mostly electric and moving towards that, the future is coming, and demystifying some of these myths that kind of just live out there can help people have a better understanding of what it is and why it is important that we're moving in this direction.
The manufacturing is the key question. So that's where people they say that that's how electric vehicles pollute more than gasoline cars by the manufacturing process. But they don't even need cobalt in some cars. For example, the lithium iron phosphate works just fine. They're using BYD LSP batteries on the Model Y or the Model 3 that's being used in Shanghai. No cobalt in there. As we go forward, they won't need cobalt in these cars.
So, Carmine, any last thoughts? Anyone who's thinking about an electric vehicle? We're not trying to say you got to go out and buy electrical vehicles, but like you said, there's a year that's coming, and then that year, if the government doesn't change their policies, you will have to, and you'll have no choice. What would you
Yeah.
say to those who are kind of like still on the fence or maybe trying not to let the future actually come? What do you say to those people?
Well, if you're really worried about the environment, okay, I would suggest take a look at studies, at real studies, not just opinion pieces on the news. For example, the International Council of Clean Transportation came out with a study, and they say that the results show that even for cars registered today, battery electric vehicles have by far the lowest life cycle greenhouse gas emissions. Take another one that shows that in Europe, 66 to 69% reduction of CO2 emissions. It just goes on and on. ICE cars, I call them ICE because they're internal combustion engine cars, and electric cars, we're not remembering about all the gas that's being burned. And what about to get that gasoline? We got to get oil.
Yeah.
Are we forgetting about oil spills,
And all the different components that can come along with that.
train tanker derailments, pipeline bursts, wildlife soaked in oil, or just the ocean on fire? And then there's people that say, yeah, you got to replace your battery every 100,000 kilometers. Well, take for example Tesloop and rideshare. Those two companies have been sharing vehicles, driving around, and they're going three
All the
four
time.
hundred thousand kilometers on that same original battery. So I mean, there's proof right there. What about the 5,600 gallons of gasoline burned during the lifetime of an internal combustion engine vehicle? Nobody's talking about that, right? What about all the nitrous oxide that's emitted into the air? I mean, EV batteries. Another thing is the EV's batteries, they can be recycled. Well, that's not true. There's lithium, graphite, copper, aluminum, etc. All these materials are in the batteries. They're very valuable. They're not dead. And well, just the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, says that on the electric vehicle myth page there, it says electric vehicles are worse for the climate than gasoline cars because of the power plant emissions. That's myth number one. So the EPA says that it's a myth. Not somebody talking on the news. It's coming from the EPA. So
well, I wanted to first thank you, appreciate the insights, the facts, and the passion that you brought to kind of explaining a lot of things that for everyday people sometimes we just don't know. We get the sound bites, the snippets, and the opinion pieces, which sometimes are masquerading as facts. So I appreciate what you brought to it.
It's a pleasure. You guys come in and sign up. I'll show you everything you need to know about these cars, how to fix them, repair, diagnose, make some money even on the side, start your own business, or get that position you want.
Thank you so much, Carmine.
Pleasure.